Have you ever wondered how a new fashion trend or a song or even just an idea can absolutely explode across the globe in what feels like a blink of an eye? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a really powerful set of forces that are making our world feel smaller than it's ever been. So today we're going to break down that invisible machinery that sends culture rocketing around the planet in the 21st century. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with this idea of the shrinking planet. Then we'll get a handle on what culture really is. After that, we'll look at the engines driving all this change and then the modern highways that culture travels on. And we'll wrap it all up by asking a really big question. Is all this mixing bringing us closer together, or is it actually pulling us apart?
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1, the shrinking planet. It's a phrase we hear all the time, right? But what does it actually mean? Honestly, this one idea is the key to unlocking so much of our modern world. And to really wrap our heads around this, think about it like this. How does a K-pop group from Seoul suddenly have a #1 hit in, say, Kansas? Or how does a show on Netflix from Spain become the only thing anyone is talking about at your office? It feels like it happens instantly, like it just teleports. But the answer isn't magic, it's a really cool geographical concept.
And that concept is called time-space convergence. I know, it sounds super technical, but the idea itself is pretty simple. All of our technology, from jumbo jets to the fiber optic cables that are literally snaking across the ocean floor, all of it is crushing the time it takes to move ourselves and our ideas. The planet isn't getting physically smaller, but the time it takes to get from one side to the other, that has shrunk down to almost nothing.
So here's the real takeaway from this. For pretty much all of human history, distance decay was the absolute rule. The farther away you were from something, the less it affected you. Simple. Well, that rule is officially broken. In our world, a brilliant idea from Lagos or a new song from Bogota can jump across an ocean just as easily as it once crossed a village square. Distance just isn't the boss anymore. So, okay, our world is shrinking, but what exactly is spreading across it so fast? Well, the answer is culture. But to get how it travels, we first need to be on the same page about what culture even is. And it's so much more than just food and music. At its very core, it's about the ideas we all share. This brings us to a really powerful idea: culture as a social construction. What that means is that our most cherished beliefs, our deepest values, our oldest traditions, none of them are these permanent, unchangeable facts of the world. They're ideas that we as a society collectively built and agreed on. And here's the most important part. Because we built them, we also have the power to change them.
And this is where that abstract idea gets super real. Let's just take one basic concept, the self. In a culture like the United States, it's often built around individualism. Achieving your personal goals, your personal happiness, that's what's most important. But in a culture like Japan's, the self is often seen as part of a community. The flourishing of the group is the top priority. And look, neither one is better than the other. They're just two totally different blueprints for building the same fundamental idea.
Okay, so if culture is something that can be changed, what's actually doing the changing? That's what we're digging into in Section 3, the engines of change. Let's look at the powerful forces, both big and small, that are constantly pushing and pulling on our cultures and reshaping them in real time. These forces are happening all around us, on every single scale. I mean, it could be as small as one person moving to a new neighborhood and opening a restaurant with flavors nobody there has ever tasted before. But it's also as massive as globalization, which is weaving our economies and our societies into this single, unbelievably complex web. And maybe the biggest force of all, urbanization. And that brings us to this absolutely staggering number. For the first time ever in human history, more than half of all of us live in a city. Just let that sink in for a second. Cities are the ultimate cultural accelerators. They're these incredible melting pots where different foods, languages, and ideas aren't just living side by side. They are colliding and fusing into something brand new every single day.
So we have these huge forces stirring up the pot of culture. But how does a new idea actually get from point A to point B? You can think of it like a network of superhighways. So let's break down the 5 modern channels that carry culture across our shrinking planet at lightning speed. And here they are, those 5 cultural highways. Some are pretty obvious, right? Like media. Hollywood movies are basically value delivery systems. And of course, there's technology, with social media acting like a global nervous system for trends. But some of the others are a little more hidden.
Politics, through something like the UN, can set new global standards for how we should behave. Economics can spread a whole way of life just through the rules of trade. And finally, huge social movements can rewrite our ideas about what's right and wrong on a global scale.
Let's just drill down on that media example for a quick second. When a blockbuster movie like Top Gun Maverick is playing in theaters from Tokyo to Buenos Aires, it's doing way more than just entertaining people. It's broadcasting a very specific package of cultural values, in this case, American ideas about individualism and military strength, to a global audience of billions. It's culture as a product.
Now, all of this leads us to our final, and maybe the most important question. With all these ideas and traditions mixing and swirling all around the planet, what is the ultimate outcome? Is the endgame one single global culture? Or is all this interaction actually driving us apart?
Essentially, what we're seeing are two powerful, opposing forces at play here. On one side, you have cultural convergence, this idea that as we all interact more, our cultures start to blend and become more similar. But on the other side, you've got cultural divergence, which is a powerful backlash where groups actively resist global influence to protect what makes them unique.
Let's look at convergence first. I mean, you see it everywhere, don't you? You can buy the same pair of jeans and the same burger in hundreds of different countries, and English has become the default language of global business. And that can feel convenient, even unifying. But there's a real cost to all this sameness. When one or two dominant cultures spread, they can act like a tsunami, just overwhelming and washing away smaller, local cultures. And this is just staggering. We are talking about roughly 3,500 languages. That's half of all the languages currently spoken on Earth are at risk of disappearing. And you have to understand, when a language dies, it's not just a collection of words that's lost. It is an entire library of human experience, a completely unique way of seeing the world that just vanishes forever. But convergence isn't the whole story. A lot of groups are actively pushing back, and that's divergence. A perfect example of this is the Amish community. It's not that they're ignorant of the modern world. They're not at all. They make very specific, very conscious choices about which technologies they're going to reject, all in the service of preserving the unique identity and their way of life.
So that's the crucial thing to get about divergence. It's not passive. It is an active, intentional statement. It's a community drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is who we are, this is what makes us unique, and we are going to fight to protect it. Whether that's by reviving an ancient language or by making really deliberate choices about technology.
Which leaves us with one final thought to take away from all this. In this era of unbelievable connection and rapid change, as our world continues to shrink, it really forces every single one of us to ask a question. What about our own cultures, our traditions, our languages, our unique ways of seeing the world? What parts of it are so valuable that they're worth fighting to protect?